My name is Claire Weston. I'm 24, and I never expected my parents to skip my graduation because they were hosting my sister's baby shower the same day. If you've ever felt overlooked or betrayed by your own family, leave a comment and tell me where you're watching from. Like this video and subscribe for more stories like this. I graduated summa cum laude with a double major in political science and economics. I gave everything to that degree. The late nights, the unpaid internships, the ramen-fueled weeks in tiny apartments. I even took on a part-time job to afford books my scholarship didn't cover. All I wanted was to see them in the crowd, just once. I wanted to hear my name called, step across that stage, and look out into the audience to find them cheering, teary-eyed, proud. But the only empty seats in the packed auditorium were the two reserved for Mr. and Mrs. Weston. They weren't stuck in traffic. They weren't sick. They were 10 miles away, in our backyard, throwing a Pinterest-perfect baby shower for my older sister, Hannah. Blue cupcakes. A photographer. Even custom t-shirts that read Ant Squad for my cousins. And I wasn't invited to that either. I only found out through Instagram stories. One of my classmates nudged me during the ceremony. "Hey, isn't this your family?" There they were. Balloons, speeches, my parents beaming as they posed beside Hannah's bump. The contrast punched me in the stomach. I was in a black cap and gown. They were wearing coordinated blue and white. They didn't just miss my moment. They erased it. They chose hers. Again. That night, I didn't go to the celebration dinner I had booked for us. I went home, took off my gown, and sat on my twin bed, staring at my diploma. No calls, no texts, not even a card. It wasn't the first time they made me feel invisible, but this was the loudest silence of all. Growing up, Hannah was the miracle baby. She was born premature and survived 2 surgeries before she turned 1. That story became her shield, her crown, and her excuse. Every birthday was a production. Mine? We'll do something small this year, okay, Claire? She got private music lessons, overseas trips with her choir, and a brand new car at 17. I got hand-me-downs and reminders to be grateful. Every time I asked why, the answer was the same. She needs it more. She's sensitive. She's not as practical as you. That was my label. Practical. It was code for less loved. It was their way of justifying why she got more and why I got used to less. So I buried myself in books. I built my worth around grades, scholarships, structure. But somewhere deep down, I was still that little girl, watching her sister unwrap gifts while I held the camera, still hoping someone would say, "We see you too." I never thought they'd make me invisible at my own graduation. But they did. And that was the day I quietly decided. If they wouldn't celebrate me, I'd build a life that made them wish they had. I used to think favoritism was something you could outgrow. That if I just worked harder, achieved more, or became exceptional, they'd see me. I didn't realize that some families don't want to see you, not because you're invisible, but because you disrupt their favorite narrative. The miracle baby needed to stay the miracle, and I was the contrast that made her shine. It started early. In 2nd grade, I got picked for the regional spelling bee. I remember coming home with the letter clutched in my hands, breathless with excitement. My mom barely looked up from the dinner she was preparing for Hannah's music recital guests. "Can we talk about it after?" she said. We never did. Hannah forgot her sheet music that night. My dad drove 20 minutes to get it. When I forgot my lunch the following week, I went hungry. Small things, but they stacked. By middle school, I stopped asking for help. I'd catch the bus alone, celebrate my report cards with a quiet smile, and sit through Hannah's performances, clapping like it was my job. Because it was. I was the built-in cheerleader, the unpaid assistant, the extra. When Hannah broke up with her boyfriend in high school, the whole house grieved. My mom took off work to stay with her. When I came home crying after being humiliated in debate club, they told me not to be so sensitive. "She's just more emotional," they said. "You're the strong one." No one asked if I wanted to be. By the time I got accepted into college, a full-ride scholarship, they congratulated me with a generic card and a secondhand suitcase. The same week, Hannah got engaged. She got an engagement party, a ring insurance policy, and a down payment for her condo. They said it's just tradition. They said weddings are a big deal. They said college is your thing, and we know you've got it handled. That was their favorite justification. You don't need us. But needing and deserving are not the same. They never once asked how I paid for my books, never offered to help when I juggled 2 jobs and a course overload. They just said, Claire's always been practical. As if practicality replaced love. As if resilience meant I didn't deserve support. Even when I came home for breaks, I was a visitor. My room became Hannah's storage. I slept on a pull-out couch while they told me how proud they were of everything Hannah's going through right now. She had a tough pregnancy, but I was drowning too, just silently. My lowest point came during junior year. I got pneumonia during finals and still pushed through to keep my GPA. I passed out one night from exhaustion and a classmate called for help. When I called my parents from the hospital, my mom said, "Well, that's what happens when you don't take care of yourself." I realized then they would never come, not for illness, not for achievement, not even for graduation. And still, when I opened that diploma case, part of me hoped they'd call. That maybe this milestone would matter. That maybe this time, I'd be the one worth clapping for. But all I got was a group photo captioned, "Baby boy on the way," posted while I gave my valedictory speech. That night, as I sat alone with takeout and my cap on the table, I felt a deep, hollow ache. Not because they missed it, but because I realized they never meant to come at all. I didn't confront them right away. I stayed quiet through the summer, working a temp job at a legal aid clinic, saving up for law school. But every phone call, every family group text was about Hannah. Her nursery, her cravings, her birthing classes. Not once did anyone ask how my internship was going, or congratulate me on my offer to Yale Law. Yes, Yale. I had quietly applied, quietly got in, quietly accepted the offer, and when I forwarded them the acceptance letter, all I got back was a thumbs-up emoji from Dad. Not even a call. The day I packed up for Connecticut, I did it alone. No send-off, no family brunch, just me, my 3 suitcases, and a rideshare driver who offered more warmth than my entire household. I told myself I was over it, that I didn't need them. But the truth was, part of me still wanted closure. So when Thanksgiving came around, I went home. I shouldn't have. The house looked exactly the same, but the energy felt foreign. Hannah was glowing, holding her newborn like royalty, surrounded by aunts, neighbors, cousins. Everyone clapped when she walked in the room. I walked in 5 minutes later. Nobody noticed until my mom said, "Oh, Claire, grab the extra folding chairs, will you?" No hug, no how's law school, no we're proud of you. Just a task, a function. That night, I sat quietly at the corner of the dinner table while my dad toasted to strong women like Hannah, balancing motherhood and life like champions. I raised my glass, then lowered it without drinking. It was the same speech he gave when she got her first promotion, when she launched a candle business, when she painted the living room. Every tiny act was celebrated like a coronation. I had just finished my first semester at one of the most competitive law schools in the country, and they toasted scented candles. When dinner ended, I stood to help clear plates. That's when my mom pulled me aside. "You know, Claire," she said softly, "you've always been so independent. It's why we never worried about you." That word again, independent. The nice way of saying we never showed up. I looked her in the eye and said, "It's not independence if no one ever offered help." She blinked, then laughed nervously. "Oh, don't be dramatic." That broke something in me. That word, dramatic, was the nail they always hammered down when I tried to express pain. I placed the plates on the counter, turned to face both of them in the kitchen. "Just so you know," I said, voice calm, "I graduate again in 2 years. But don't worry, I won't expect you to come." They looked at each other, unsure if I was joking. I wasn't. My dad asked, "Is this about the baby shower thing again?" That's when I knew. They truly didn't get it. They saw their absence not as cruelty, but as inevitability. as justified, as normal. I used to think I was asking for too much, I said. Turns out I was asking the wrong people. Then I grabbed my coat and left. I didn't even make it to dessert. It was the last family holiday I ever attended, the last time I explained my value, the last time I asked them to choose me. After that Thanksgiving, something in me shut off. Not bitterness, not anger, just finality. I stopped checking the family group chat. I muted the photos of Hannah's baby on social media. I didn't block anyone. I didn't announce a dramatic departure. I just let the silence grow. In its place, I found peace. At Yale, I poured myself into my studies, but this time, not to prove anything, not to earn applause. I studied because I wanted to build a life no one could take credit for but me. I picked my own mentors, made real friends, and for the first time in my life, I felt seen by people who didn't need a reason to respect me. Meanwhile, back home, the updates trickled in, mostly through cousins or mutual friends. Hannah's candle business shut down. Apparently, she'd overspent the baby shower funds and racked up debt. Mom and Dad bailed her out. Again, they dipped into retirement savings to do it. At law school, I started clerking for a federal judge. I presented at a national conference. Then came the turning point. A startup legal firm offered me a junior partner role even before I graduated. They specialized in tech privacy law, cutting edge, high paying, and female led. I said yes. The bonus? They were based in Boston, just a 2-hour train ride from home, close enough to be symbolic, far enough to remain distant. The irony came full circle when the local paper featured me in a rising women in law piece. My high school principal sent a congratulatory letter. Old classmates reposted it. Even my 6th grade English teacher commented, "So proud of our Claire." But not my parents. Not even a like. That's when I decided to buy a townhouse just outside the city. I'd been saving aggressively and cashed in my signing bonus. It was quiet, elegant, and mine. Every room felt like a room I built from scratch. Not inherited, not gifted, not loaned. I threw a small housewarming, 10 people. No balloons, no matching shirts. Just real warmth. That night, as I stood in my kitchen sipping wine, one of my friends asked, "Do your parents know about this place?" I smiled. They will. A week later, I sent them a postcard. Not a text, not a letter. Just a photo of the front door and a short note. Graduated. Bought this. Didn't need a baby shower. No signature. No return address. Just closure. I didn't expect a reply. I didn't need one. My life no longer revolved around proving I was worth loving. I was done auditioning. I was living. About a month after the postcard, my phone rang. It was my dad. I let it go to voicemail. He called again 2 days later. Then Mom. Then a text from Hannah. "Wow, so this is who you are now?" No explanation. No context. Just a jab dressed as curiosity. I didn't reply. I was at a client dinner when the next one came. "Are you seriously mad about graduation? It's been years, Claire." It had been 11 months. Still, to them, time erased everything. But the truth? I wasn't mad anymore. I was done. Done waiting. Done justifying. Done explaining why missing my biggest moment wasn't just a scheduling conflict. It was a declaration of priorities. Eventually, my mom emailed me. Subject line, "Let's start fresh." The body was 3 paragraphs long. She listed all the things Hannah was going through: postpartum anxiety, financial strain, lack of sleep. Then she said, "We know you're successful, Claire, but we thought you didn't need us. You are always fine." That line again. Fine. The word they clung to so they didn't have to examine how often they left me alone. I stared at the screen for a long time before closing it. No reply. I wasn't being cruel. I was protecting peace. And sometimes silence is the most generous boundary you can give people who refuse to hear you for years. Meanwhile, my life moved forward. I hired an assistant, started mentoring undergrads, donated to a scholarship fund at my underfunded high school, anonymously. One day, I ran into Ms. Garrett, my AP government teacher. She grabbed my hands and said, "You were always the quiet one, but I knew you'd roar eventually." I laughed, genuinely, because that roar didn't come with yelling or slamming doors. It came with letting go, with building something steady, something beautiful, something my family could never claim they helped shape. The next time I saw Hannah was at a mutual friend's wedding. She spotted me across the venue and waved. I waved back. She approached during cocktail hour. "You look expensive," she joked. I smiled. "Law pays better than candle wax." She laughed, but there was something hollow behind it. Then she leaned in and said, "Mom misses you." I tilted my head. Mom misses the version of me who never asked for anything. She didn't argue, didn't apologize either, just nodded and walked away. I felt nothing, not vindication, not anger, just a clear, clean space inside. I had finally accepted that I would never get the family I deserved. But I got to become the woman I was meant to be. About a year later, I got invited to speak at my alma mater's law symposium. I was the youngest speaker on the panel. The hall was packed with students, professors, and community leaders. After the talk, the dean handed me a plaque. Alumna of the Year. The applause was real, earned, not inherited. That night, they streamed the event on local public television. I didn't expect anyone from home to see it. But 3 days later, my cousin texted me a screenshot. My parents, sitting in their living room, watching the broadcast. No smiles, just watching. The photo said more than any call ever could. They weren't clapping, but they were listening now. I didn't need them to say anything, because for once, they were the silent ones, and I was the one being seen. A few months later, my firm invited me to be part of a community outreach initiative in my hometown. Pro bono work, scholarships, legal clinics. I accepted, not for revenge, not even for poetic justice, but because I knew what it meant to be overlooked in a town like mine. At the first event, I was introduced on stage by the mayor. She grew up right here, and today she's one of the most influential voices in state law. I stepped up, spoke clearly, confidently, not a single tremble in my voice. And after the talk, as I mingled with attendees, I saw them. My parents, standing at the back of the room. My dad wore the same jacket he always did. My mom clutched her purse like it gave her something to do with her hands. They didn't approach me, they just watched. And I let them take in the version of me they'd spent years minimizing. Let them witness the daughter they called practical, independent, fine, now powerful, respected, and untouchable. A photographer came by and asked to snap a picture for the local paper. I smiled, stood tall, and didn't look toward the back. That photo ran on the front page with the caption, "From overlooked to outstanding, Claire Weston comes home." I framed it, not to hang on a wall, but to remind myself. Sometimes you don't need to expose the people who hurt you. You just need to let them live with the proof that you didn't need them to rise. Months passed, then a year, and in that year I lived. I traveled. I fell in love, slowly, quietly, with someone who saw me not for what I'd achieved, but for who I was beneath the armor. We moved in together in a sunlit apartment that smelled of jasmine and freshly brewed coffee. There was laughter in the mornings, silence in the best way. No eggshells, no competition, no conditional love, just breath, space, and belonging. One day, a letter arrived, handwritten, from my mother. No return address, just a folded note on thick cream paper. "Claire, we saw the article. We're proud of you, even if we didn't always show it. I'm sorry for all the ways we failed to show up. We thought letting you be strong was the same as supporting you. It wasn't. We know that now. Love, Mom. No excuses. No demands. Just a late attempt at truth." I read it twice, then placed it in a drawer. I didn't reply. Not out of cruelty, but because closure doesn't always require conversation. Sometimes healing looks like not needing the last word. And I had already said everything I needed to say in how I built my life, in what I chose not to carry, and in the silence I no longer filled. I still think of them sometimes. When I walk through the marble lobby of my office building, when I see families at brunch, when I cross a graduation stage, this time as a keynote speaker. But the ache that once sat in my chest like a second heartbeat, it's gone. I am no longer the girl waiting at the window. I am the woman who learned that family is not defined by blood, but by presence, by love freely given, by the people who choose you without question, without condition. Have you ever had to walk away from people you once called family? Panege niyo wa? Drop your story in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe for more stories about reclaiming your power. Send this to someone who needs to know they're not alone.